Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's Bobby Piton here. Thank you for chiming in. It is Piton Points with talking about, I guess, the market as well as political things that are taking place in the country. I'm just going to copy this one link here, folks, and then get this posted, and then we'll go right in. But I guess what I ended up doing is I created I basically have an article that came out. I made the cover of the Kane County Chronicle, and let me just show you that in a second here. And with regards to the candidate that I'm helping, even though I am not officially an employee of the campaign for trying to get Tom elected for the city of Geneva, Illinois, because Kevin Burns, aka Chicken Legs, is someone who supports things that I do not believe are just and right. And so I want to kind of hit on that topic this morning and explain my concern about someone as ill-suited to hold office as him. And I will definitely explain why I feel that's the case. And then we can talk about what's happening in the markets. AM, Piton Points, 4/1/2021. Okay. So basically, looking at this current situation with the political climate, this is a local election, and I guess there's some people upset. I got a call last night from a reporter. I wrote about it immediately last night from Kane County Chronicle, and the reason why I immediately wrote a post when this reporter called me is, number one, I wanted to be sure that my side of what was being said was in fact accurate. And, and I frankly, I just don't trust the media. And I'm not sure about, who owns Shaw, but I'm going to look into it today. I have not had time to look into it just yet in terms of, what is the political leaning. But what I will say is that this Shaw Media owns the Kane County Chronicle the Kane County Chronicle, which is, I guess, a local paper in Geneva. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. And if you see here, I'm just going to go to full screen. Controversial campaign calls prompt Simonian, who's running for mayor, to tell Geneva man to back off. Well, I'm that Geneva man, which I think is pretty funny, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, did they say anything that wasn't true that I said? So I wanted to know, they're saying that, I'm doing something that's inappropriate. I wanted to see if they're saying something that's not true, because I don't believe I'm doing anything inappropriate. And I made it very clear. And so this article, which I put on Telegram and Gab and so forth, it kind of outlines that, look, I don't work for Tom. I've met the person, I met him, less than a couple weeks ago for the first time. And I told him that I think that he's much better suited to be the mayor of Geneva. I explained why I think that was the case after going over his website. And I know firsthand experience with Mayor Burns when I saw him at an event for cheese, trees, and wine in 2019, that he supported Lauren the Undertaker Underwood, Undertaker of the Unborn. He basically supported her run, and I confronted him about abortion, and he didn't deny the fact that he supported abortion. In fact, he said he was proud to support the Undertaker Underwood, and so I specifically asked the issue with regards to partial birth abortion, because it was an extremely aggravating issue for me when this kind of came out on the East Coast. I think it hit Virginia first, and frankly, that's what probably prompted me to start looking into politics. If you want to pin it down to why Bobby even started to pay attention to politics, because up to that point, I kind of was aware of it if it impacted the financial markets, but I did not get involved in any way, shape, or form with politics. I never even voted in a primary, folks, until last, I think, 2020. And a bunch of people in the GOP in Kane County were laughing at me like, ha, 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 Bobby, you didn't even know you're supposed to vote in the primary. And I'm like, listen here, jerk-offs. That's it. Nobody tells you that, the importance of primaries anywhere. I went through 16 years of education and I learn, and I read a lot. Just because I don't take the time to go listen to all the antics that you guys are pulling, why haven't you done a better job of communicating the importance of primaries to the voters? And so Bobby Piton is going to do what you guys have failed to do since my entire adult life as a voter in this country. And that is, I'm going to tell people the importance of voting in primaries. And I'm going to help mobilize Americans across this country to knock out SOBs like this guy Burns. Actually, someone likes it when I say sons of bitches like this guy Burns, because he is not a good person. We need to have people elected into office that reflect our values. How has it been working out for us, folks? When we keep budging and just letting anybody in and say, oh, they have a character flaw, it's all right. Politicians lie. Oh, it's okay if they're lying on this too. And we just get worse and worse, and we go further and further down as a society when we look the other way. So in terms of the King County Chronicle, this Shaw Media Company, this woman that wrote this article, their editorial board supports Mr. Burns. Well, there's some police reports that I don't know if charges were actually filed, but I do know that there's a write-up for the Batavia Police Department that I'm going to make sure it gets public. Look at this thing. Folks, this is not a one-page document here, but I'm going to make sure that this goes public about Mr. Burns. And then there's this other police, department report, domestic trouble, that I guess Mr. Burns, I'll go into details on this, but this is an interesting read as well. And all I could tell you, and I made this comment to the reporter last night, I go, where were you guys doing your job? That this stuff is coming out now. This stuff is a little dated, but doesn't change the fact that it happened, and you guys covered it up. This guy's been in office for 20 years, running the city into the ground. The average family in Geneva is paying about $3,000 more per year. He's my library example, folks. He says he wasn't supposed to be involved, but somehow he got involved for a library that we had a perfectly good library that was probably $2-3 million building. I asked the people what the building was worth, and then they put up this albatross of 12, I think they spent 12 or more $1 million. And then all of a sudden it's not even open at convenient times for the taxpayers. They close out, their hours are closed early. They open late on the weekends. So it's like, what the hell are we paying for? So you hit everybody in Geneva for an extra $1,500 of debt on this library. And then you don't give a shit that people don't have the time to go in there. At least Starbucks, I can go into Starbucks and guess what? I'm not out $1,500. I get my $4 coffee and I go on my merry way. And guess what? They open up at like 6 o'clock or 5:30, 5 o'clock by my house. I go in at 5 o'clock and then they're open and they're convenient to you and they stay open. But the library, who's taking $12 million, they don't want to make it convenient for your hours. So my attitude is fine. You don't want to make it convenient for the citizens of Geneva to use the damn library. We should have never funded the damn thing. And so anyways, I want to kind of read something that I posted about this. So if someone asked you, do you support universal education? Most people would say, yes, I do. I support universal education. And I said, well, how would you feel comfortable getting involved with supporting universal education? And I think most people would say, yes, I can live with myself supporting universal education. I think most people would say, yeah, I believe in universal education. It's American, right? If someone asks you, do you support helping the needy? Okay. Most people would say yes. If they asked you, would you ever be comfortable getting involved, doing what you said you supported? Going to soup kitchens, doing stuff, mentoring needy kids maybe. And most people would say yes. I can live with that. I can put my money where my mouth is and support the needy. If someone asks you, do you support abortion? And you said yes. My question to you is, would you really be comfortable getting involved or simply witnessing the horror of a child being ripped apart? Could you really live with yourself if support meant you had to witness what you were supporting? Now imagine some of these so-called unwanted babies that are being killed moments before birth were in fact trafficked instead? Who would be there to see that they were not sold off to criminal elements in our society? Quite a cover for human trafficking. The mother agreed to have us kill her baby, so we have no problem selling that baby to the highest bidder instead. Who knows if this is happening? How often it might be happening? Who is looking at the bodies? The same people that support abortion? Or the demons of death and their staff? Who gets to see all these innocent babies being killed? 1.6 Americans are assassinated every minute, every day in the United States by demons of death. Over 2,300 Americans die daily, and the economy doesn't grind to a halt. I guess a virus is more profitable to certain people in society, because we saw just a few deaths, how the whole economy will grind to a halt. But the execution of 2,300 of the most innocent among us, everything just, the music keeps playing, everything's fine, the water's warm. And it's really sad. It really is. And so I'm not going to sit there and look the other way on this issue. The United States has 200 million fewer Americans alive today than if it would have had if Roe versus Wade never went into effect. Question: was the Supreme Court that made that decision, was it compromised? Isn't it worth exploring in light of recent events? Who benefited from 200 fewer million Americans, folks? Did you ever stop and ask that question? Red China? We open up trade with China right as we pass Roe v. Wade, right before? The timing is very suspicious. So how do you defeat an enemy from within? Have them kill off their future, attack their seniors, undermine their education of their youth. Do you really think it's a coincidence that right now, World War II ended in 1945? That's 75 years ago. The life expectancy of Americans right now, depending on where you are in the age cycle, it's between 78 and say 87, 88 years old, depending on what year you were born. I think President Trump disrupted their plans. They were hoping that all the people that remember their parents living through World War II and dying to defend this country and our values, they were waiting for them to die off. That's why they needed an extra 12 years. Remember that crazy AOC from New York? 12 years, the world's going to end. Yeah, they were counting on Hillary stealing the election in 2016 and then her calling the shots to drive us into the ground. They've been planning this for well over, basically they're into their fifth decade. And all I can tell you is it starts with this kind of stuff. We need to re-examine everything that they did, because we're at war with these folks, whether we like it or not. It's an ideological war. They are attacking us in our schools. They're attacking us with our religious beliefs. They're trying to censor us. I say we got to keep fighting back and figure out ways around their censors. And they put in people like this Kevin Chicken Legs Burns. I'll make a joke. I said about his chicken legs. If you want, you're going to have to watch the other video if you want to understand why he's called Chicken Legs. But anyways, this guy, all joking aside, he supports this crap. He supports 2,300 babies losing their life every day, and he doesn't even bat an eye. And so I do not think his character justifies a community of 22,000 people in Geneva, where it's a very comfortable community in the state of Illinois and in the United States, conservative, traditionally conservative, and yet all these people have infiltrated from the city of Chicago after communism is kind of shaking them up a little too much, but they don't mind trying to bring it out here. And it's a big problem, folks, because they're trying to do this across the country. The Democrats have infiltrated the conservative communities across this country, and they're playing to win. And the Republicans better wake the hell up and fight back and start speaking their mind and stop being afraid of being silenced. This is way too important. Is this the legacy you want to have? Hey, Dad, why in the world, if babies were being sold off, because of third trimester abortions, they were just being sold into slavery. Why didn't you say anything? Well, I didn't know, son. I didn't know that they were doing it. Did you ask? Did you look into it? Well, no, because, it's not my problem. I don't want to worry about these mothers killing these babies because, that the Democrats, the Republicans that I voted for voted no. But the Democrats voted yes, so I'm out of it. Is that sum it up, folks? Is that how we're kind of going to do this? So when we see somebody getting beat up or bludgeoned on the street, we don't stop in and intervene because we might get hurt in the process? I don't know. I mean, it's a very disturbing society if that's the way we're heading. And all I'm saying is this guy, the Undertaker Underwood, Lauren, and I told you, and you guys should look into this. Lauren, no, what are you doing? Don't do that. With regards to Lauren Underwood, there's photos. I'm going to find those photos. I'm going to post them up, folks. There's photos with her and Barry when she was just getting politically involved. Okay. This was years ago. And I looked at the timeline, and I really suggest you guys look into the timeline as well. But she met Barry. Yeah, that's right. That's Barack Obama. I call him Barry because Serrano or whatever the hell his last name was. This guy was friends with Lauren Underwood. And wouldn't you believe they just bring her into Kane County, right? They bring her in, and they deployed 50,000 more votes in the 2020 election that I warned everybody about on the Kane County Central Committee. Last year I looked at the numbers, and I remember saying, look, something doesn't make sense. Where did all these people come from? And they just kind of scoffed it off. And then they lost the Kane County chair position. They lost the treasury position. And who knows what's going on with those votes, okay? But all I could tell you is this is a concerted effort to support somebody who supports this evil ideology. Barry Underwood, I think it should be examined by the NSA if they had any type of collusion with Netflix to create propaganda to promote this person, her name, Underwood, in the show House of Cards. I think we should look into it because I think that these people, these Democrats, you need to start looking at all these TV shows, all these movies. They're trying to change the perception of who you should vote for in future election cycles. They're not thinking 2 years out, people. They're thinking 10, 20, 30 years out. They're trying to brainwash people through propaganda. Netflix, let's call it what it is. It's a global platform of over 100 million people. If it's used for the wrong purposes, I guess you can say it is a propaganda platform, like worldwide, not just the United States, folks. So this stuff you should look into. I'm not saying they're doing the propaganda. I'm saying it's definitely worth exploring that this is a very real risk of way too much power. And in fact, I don't really call for government regulation very often, but the government, both political parties or three, even though they're corrupted right now, like it's a really shitty situation because it's like I need help, but you don't have anybody to turn to for the help. That's why I keep saying we need the NSA to be independent and owned by the American public. I think the public should control the NSA. It should take control of the Space Force. I don't think politicians should have any say over that. They should be tasked with protecting the United States on behalf of the American people, not the politicians. And in fact, all of our elections, I hope we go to the point where all the elections in this country are controlled by the people. No political party should ever be able to call the shots on the election process. That is crap. The people of the United States should decide and come up with the rules for how we vote for any politician so that we set it up in a fair manner. And so that's the deal, folks. So you have the Undertaker Underwood, who supports abortion up to the moment of birth. We have J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, who supports this crap. You have Durbin, Duckworth. I mean, we're just surrounded. I mean, Illinois is literally, we're in the middle of hell, like in the country. In the United States, we have people leaving Illinois all the time. I feel like saying, if you guys have a slight overabundance of conservatives in Iowa or Missouri, where do you guys have some extra troops? Can you guys please move to Illinois and help us out? If we lose Illinois, they're coming for Tennessee next. They're going to come and try to take Indiana. We're getting outnumbered and outgunned. 70% of the legislature in Illinois are Democrats. 2/3 of the Republicans in Illinois are rhinos. They are okay with abortion. What the heck happened? That we let it get this bad. So, anyways, that's the deal with regards to the politics. Have a look at the clip I posted yesterday, if you like. I put it on obviously, I think I posted it at 7:55 last night. With regards to, I think I reposted it on my Telegram. I think it's probably on Gab as well. But I interview one of the volunteers from Florida who actually spoke with Mr. Burns and had some things to share. So it's worth listening. If you don't have time to listen to me talk, because I sometimes talk slow, just double the speed. I sound better when I talk faster. So maybe if you just double the speed if you want to watch some of this stuff. But anyways, that's where we're at with this, folks, with regards to the election stuff. This bill that Biden wants to pass, once again, the markets it's the beginning of a new quarter. The futures are up on the NASDAQ, S&P slightly up. Obviously, that's where we're at with this. I would say that this $2 trillion infrastructure plan, we talked about the tax rates yesterday, and I'm not opposed to corporate taxes going up only if personal income taxes go down in a like dollar amount. I do not believe that Americans that are working should pay a higher tax rate than corporations. This bogus argument that corporations will pass it through and charge higher prices to everybody is just garbage. If we live in a truly competitive system, then you know what? Competition should help solve that problem. And that, so either you can't have it both ways, folks. You can't say that we have a capitalist system, and that this isn't going to, these tax increases will all just flow through. No, because this thing called competition, people will work for less margin and get the marginal customer should kick in. But anyways, of the $2 trillion, which is supposed to be spent, some of the highlights are $621 billion for transportation. So even though it's an infrastructure plan, folks, there's only 30% of the money is for infrastructure. Think about that. Infrastructure plan, America, only 30% of the $2 trillion, $600 billion. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to load it up with some stuff. We're going to put in $400 billion for care for elderly and disabled Americans. Oh yeah, I trust the government to take care of our elderly. Are they going to be the ones that go into the nursing homes in New York, Michigan, Pennsylvania, California? You mean the way they take care of them, like with the virus last year? That kind of taken care of, or is it taken care of? Fleecing and skimming that money, and then they want to do $300 billion into infrastructure. Why in the world aren't the communities taking care of their own water supply? Isn't that why we pay a water bill? Like, I don't understand. Why is the federal government paying for our water if we're already paying for our water on a local level? $300 billion, folks. That's what they want to try to take for that one. $300 billion into retrofitting affordable housing. Retrofitting, aka some kind of green bean type of things. They want to put in their agenda to support their friends that are doing this social engineering instead of allowing people to make their own decisions based on their values and their beliefs. And then $500 million into American manufacturing, R&D, and job training. First of all, these mega corporations, it's not a complicated situation, folks. If you want to sell into the U.S. market, you have to produce a minimum level of the goods that you sell into the U.S. market. Problem solved. You don't need any of this money to be raised. You just say, look, you know what, Apple, if you want to sell iPhones here, half your production needs to be on U.S. soil, at least. so that Americans have a right to buy it if it's made in the USA. Because frankly, I'm trying to avoid buying any products from any country that doesn't support my values. It is not an easy task. You know, if you got a corrupt, evil Communist Party of China ruling that country, I don't want to buy products that are made there. Now, I don't have a choice on a lot of categories. I have no choice. I have to buy it. But I don't trust them. If this camera that I have that's a Sony, I think it was made in Japan because Sony's a Japanese company. I'm okay with the Japanese. But the Chinese, there's articles that have come out on Bloomberg. They've put mini microchips inside of chips. And who the hell knows they don't tie into the Wi-Fi, and they put all this stuff. They got this little category, Bobby Piton right here. We're going to sliver him off. This is his GPS location. This is where Bobby's at. And they got sleeper cells here waiting for me or something. I don't trust these people, and neither should you. And we need to stop cutting. We need to cut them off. We need the NSA to shut down their communications into this country. And we need to actually start acting the way we should be acting based on the way they're treating us and what they think of us. So anyways, that's the deal. You know, the futures are up. It's a new quarter. The infrastructure deal looks like it's loaded with pork. Less than 30% of the money would actually go for the title of the bill. And guess what just got passed? That bill last month where Americans were getting an extra $12,666 of debt, but you get your $1,400. Remember that? I added it all up. I think we were getting about 30 cents on the dollar back. Where the hell did the 70% go? So this is almost similar to that. Where is this skim money going? That's what I want to know. It's like, you know, remember when you were a kid, milk money? You get the milk money, go to school, and you buy your carton of milk. I don't know if anybody else did that. We used to have the little trays. I used to deliver milk, believe it or not, in my grammar school. I had to get my little milk tray and bring over the milk to the different kids in my grammar school. I remember doing that for, I don't know, maybe a month or two. We had to do rotations. It was like a real big treat. You got to get out of the class and whatever. And I used to do that. So milk money just is fresh in my mind, and I can't help but think of the skim money, skim milk money. It's like, who's skimming? How much of the skim is in all these bills? Why don't we blockchain the entire process to see how much money is being spent in real time? Like, we should have, literally, there should be like a war room. And maybe this is what Piton Points will evolve into. We should have a war room of monitors. It's like we see where the money's going in real time. It's like, wait a second, look at this screen over here. All this money's going to foreign aid. This one here is generating, this one here is taking our money, and it's going from the federal government. It's going to these states in real time. It's a heat map. It's like, what the hell is going on in Arkansas? Their heat map just said they're getting a lot more funds for the federal government. We need to investigate that so that the people can say this is a bunch of horse shit. We need to go and find out where the money's at, track it down, and how they're cheating us. And because this is the deal, we're behind the eight ball, folks. That's the deal. And so we got to start somewhere. And I'm hoping that this election with Chicken Legs Burns goes the way in favor of the people, not just for economic reasons, but for moral reasons and who we are as a people, as a society. We have to start defending the most innocent among us. My wife brought up a really good point. She goes, Bobby, if you're going to take this stance, I understand it, but at some point you got to tell people your solution for how you deal with mothers that have these children and they have these difficult times. And I said, I have plenty of ideas on how to deal with that, and I'm more than happy to discuss it. But right now I got to make my point on this to win this election for Tuesday. So maybe after, if we knock Burns out and we kind of move this abortion issue front line and center for conservatives across this country, I think, I put it this way. Kane County Chronicle, they supported this guy who supports abortion. Any newspapers in America that support candidates on any level, they support, local politicians, state politicians, federal politicians. I think we should create some, and I don't know how to, I don't have the time to create all this stuff, folks. I got all these ideas. I don't have enough people to help. But we should have a score and be like, you know what? This paper supports, 75% of the time they support people that are okay with murdering babies. And you know what? It's not complicated. Guess where we're going to get our news from? Somebody else. Just cut them off. Hit them in their pocketbook. I will never, ever buy the Kane County Chronicle paper again until it changes ownership, because they're supporting candidates that do not reflect my values. I just happen to look at it because, I made the front page there for, this article about, about Tom Simonian. Because like I said, I'm a private citizen, and I told them that. I said, look, I'm a private citizen, and they said, why does, they made a comment to me that, why didn't you call Tom and make sure that he's okay with you publicly supporting him? And I said, look, I don't work for Tom. I'm a private citizen. I only met him one time. And so I don't work for him. I'm a citizen of Geneva. And then they asked me, why didn't I, get this permission? And I said, look, I supported President Donald J. Trump. I didn't need his permission to support him and tell people all about Donald Trump. That's just not the way it works. And I didn't need Tom's his permission either. So that's the deal. But what I will say is, this reporter, to her credit, she did try to get a hold of Chicken Legs Burns, and he did not respond. So little Chicken Legs knows something's up. He needs to get knocked out. But guess what, folks? Stage 2 is about to hit. So stay tuned, because I'm looking forward to seeing the Chicken Legs Burns run like a little chicken. Anyways, with that being said, I'm sorry. I'm just having fun this morning. It's a Thursday. It's almost Good Friday. I'm very festive. So thank you guys for tuning in. Have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Oh, weird question. What's the weird question here? I'm sorry. You know what? Here, I'll answer some questions for like 5 minutes. I'm getting a little carried away with this extra screen here. I gotta kind of break into this. So let me see a couple questions. Yeah, you give them an inch, then it will definitely take a mile. No, that is so true. Okay, I definitely support school choice. I do think we need to do that. That's the only way we take power away from these people. And you know what? They're all fat and happy last year. All these Americans were losing our job. We lost over 10 million jobs. About 10 million jobs are still out of work. But guess what? The proportion of the economy that pays the bills in government, if it shrinks, the government should shrink at least just twice the percentage. So if 1% of our unemployment, if our unemployment rate goes up 1%, government should get cut by 2%. That's my take. There should be a reverse leverage effect. You know what? We're out 1% of our jobs. You guys lose 2% of your jobs, and then keep them honest and keep them on the defensive a little bit. Make them hustle and get some stuff done for a change. And they don't. Hold on 1 second here. So in terms of why isn't our law enforcement or military protecting us from infiltration? Man, I sure hope they are. That some of that stuff is above my pay grade, Matt. But I do think that there's some patriots that are in positions of power within our government that are helping, and I know that that's something that I'm very hopeful that it's happening on a scale that we're not. It's above our pay grade, I guess, and so I'm hoping that it's getting taken care of just like everybody else. And so yeah, the reporter did ask weird questions. You're right, Dallas, but that's just the way it is. Oh, Bobby, why are you bringing up abortion and critical race theory? This is a local election. And I said, first of all, our morality is a local issue. Who we are as individuals is a local issue. I will never apologize for being white. Okay, critical race theory demonizes white people. Okay, I am a humanist. Okay, I think all human beings intrinsically are great across all races. That's my belief. I believe we are all children of God, that we're all connected to God. This concept that one group is being picked over another group and being given favors or being owed something runs contrary to our belief system if you agree with me that we're all children of God. I think it's a religious issue. This is a satanic attempt to undermine and divide the people of our communities in Geneva, in Kane County, in the state of Illinois, across the country. These people are trying to crush us from within. They've undermined our spirituality. They've made it difficult to talk about difficult issues. They try to ostracize you if you speak up. They try to get a press corps going if they don't like what you said. I wrote something last night right off of that phone. And I did it one time in December. Some reporter was asking me stuff about voter integrity. And I said, I got news for you. I write everything down, and I'm writing everything out. So whatever you think you're writing, I got my own notes and I got my own witness. I always have a witness when I talk to the press. I never, ever talk to the press alone. That's one thing. That was a really good piece of advice I got when I was in Arizona. Whatever you do, make sure you have a witness when you deal with these people, because they lie. And they lie with no regard for actually getting to the truth. And they ask you questions that reflect their intent. And I'm very good at picking up on the intent of the interviewer, and which is why I cut that interview short last night. And I said, you know what? I got to go. You write what you got to write. I'm going to write what I need to write. So have a good evening. And that was that. So anyways, is that abortion your mayor supports really already being used? Yeah, that abortion is legalized in the state of Illinois and a bunch of different states. So anyways, that's it, folks. Okay, thank you so much. I will see you guys at 4:00 today. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you have a very productive day. And God bless you. God bless your family and friends, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. And I hope you have peace. And if you, for some reason, do not have peace, I do believe if you put God first, that you will find peace. And putting God first will restore true American greatness. I do believe that. No other human being is ever as important as God is. And we need to put God first and realize that we all need to work together and get this solved. The burden is too much for any one individual to ever achieve, but united spirits, we can accomplish anything and take this country back. So have a wonderful day.